Hey y'all, hope y'all doing all right. Sunday evening, had a pretty day, but I've been in the house, cleaned up, washed some clothes. Oh, I've been working for I guess a little over a month down at Wilsonville. Well, they have been killing me. It's just long hours. I've had a real good boss, and we won't tell him that, but he said last time I worked for him I drug up, and I didn't remember that, but I'm sure it wasn't him, the reason I drug up, but he's done, went to the top of a handful of foremen that I worked for that been easy to work for, and at the same time, if he needs to tell you something, he ain't afraid to tell you. That's what I gotta have. With that being said, we've talked a little bit about flat earth, or a lot about it, depending on, if you're just hearing about flat earth from me in these situations, you think it's a lot, but really it's not that much. But I don't really care what somebody believes at the end of the day about the earth being flat. But it is flat, and it's not moving. Any test that you run, you'll see it. As far as your math. I've talked about all this. But the important part is that it's a spiritual realm. And that's what I wanted to tell you. I shared a video on Derrick Prince. He's an old, I'm going to say reformed Pentecostal preacher. He's dead now. He's from Australia. When he's preaching this, he'll tell you, I don't know about in this sermon, but he still, at that time, he considered himself Pentecostal, but I think he had, at this time, when he talked about being sort of not as Pentecostal, he called himself Orthodox Pentecostal before. Maybe he mellowed out a little bit, but this teaching that I shared, and it's talking about taking down strongholds, is one of the best teachings on the spiritual realm and how it's relevant to us on this earth. And then he also touches on learning to pray in the Spirit, which I can't speak on that. I mean, that's something that you have to study, and I'm probably not nowhere near where I need to be about that. But I make things too physical about the physical, and I guess the reason for that is I grew up in a Pentecostal denomination, and there was still a whole lot of problems, and but maybe we wasn't doing something right, But I just got through listening to that video from Derrick Prince, and I'm gonna reevaluate my own life about some things, because this is definitely a spiritual realm, and you can see it if you learn what's going on here. And otherwise, you think you're on a spinning ball and it don't matter. But the reality is, it matters. And it matters to your children and your grandchildren. And that's kind of what is on my mind now about this situation with my family. I got a grandbaby hung up in something that's somewhere, somehow, somebody's got some spiritual darkness in their life. And where I'm trying to keep it away from me, because I've had that kind of stuff in my life before. And I said, I'm never letting that come back in my life. I got a grandbaby hung up in this kind of control situation. The whole deal was this. There was a lot of sadness, and I've shared all of it with you, but the whole deal was this, is they tried to bring that to my house. Tried to tell me what to do at my house. And then they said, no, we weren't doing that. Well, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And you tried to use that baby as an excuse. And you just took something that I really had my heart set on for the next few years till I passed. It should have been some of the happiest times in my life. And, I didn't ever back up from what we were doing. We wasn't going back up. And Derrick Prince touches on that in his sermon. If you start to do something and this spiritual darkness comes against you. And I'm not telling you I'm a saint. I'm not telling you that. But they ain't nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with helping a couple of young homeless kids that in the wintertime they're living in a house with no heat, and when you're talking you can see your breath. It's so cold and they're trying to sleep in that place. And then I try to help them, get them a place to stay, and then that becomes a problem with me seeing my grandbaby. And then my wife takes her son food. That's a problem. My wife takes them Christmas gift for the baby. That's a problem. My wife wants to go to the hospital when the baby's born, and the family, and that's a problem. We're dealing with something spiritual. I know where it's coming from, I think. And that was something that I probably didn't handle some stuff right in my life. But I would push back in the physical on some of that stuff if I even had to act kind of bad. That's where I kind of have some regrets. But I don't regret being on the right side of some of these things over the years. And at this point, because I'm not probably, I don't know how to say it. You don't want to be right. I mean, wrong trying to do right, because you can do that. But some of this stuff, folks, shouldn't even be a spiritual blinders. Of course, Derrick Prince tells me these people don't even know they're doing it. They're spiritually blind. Some of this stuff is just, man, you kidding me? You know what I mean? I ain't gonna, we've all had them, but there's people out here that just try to control you for no reason. And I didn't want control in my life. I just wanted order. And when the chaos would come in, hey, let's just admit it. The state government requires enough order in your home that if it ain't there, they'll come get your kids from you. This ain't hard to understand, folks. If you get too far out of order, they'll send the police over here to get me. So this idea of wanting a reasonable amount of order ain't unreal. Ain't unrealistic. But then there's the place where they have so much order that it's a prison. You can't do nothing around these people. And those are the people that I've pushed back against. They try to put me in a prison. Well, put me in no prison when I ain't done nothing wrong. And so there's a place here in the middle where we live, where we want enough order that life can be orderly and peaceful, and that we can learn our lessons, and we can progress, and we can go to school, start a business, see our grandchildren, and we can cook a meal, mess up the kitchen, but clean the kitchen up. And then there's those people that says, no, you can't see your grandchildren, you can't go to school, you can't start a business. And oh, by the way, you can't cook in that kitchen because I don't want you messing it up. I've known women that didn't want other people cooking in their kitchen, even though they'd cleaned it up. You know what I mean? So this is kind of rambling, but this is spiritual darkness is what we're dealing with. It's if they make it like a prison, it's spiritual darkness, and if they have a house like a pig pen, spiritual darkness. These things have to be pushed back against. Y'all watch that on Derrick Prince. He's got some other ones out there about witchcraft, and I've talked a lot about witchcraft over the years, but he's identified witchcraft as people seeking to control other people. Look him up, Derrick Prince. It's a flat and it's a spiritual realm, and Derrick Prince, that video I shared, explains the spiritual warfare that we're in better than anybody I've seen.